All right, welcome to another deep dive. So today we're going to dig into some research about social media and how young women view themselves.
Okay.
It's something we hear about all the time,
Yeah.
like how social media, especially Instagram, can create all these unrealistic beauty standards.
Mm.
So we're going to look at, we've got a couple of studies here,
Right.
and I think this is going to be super interesting, especially for anyone who, spends any time at all on Instagram.
Yeah.
One of the studies actually uses this phrase, downward spiral, to describe the problem.
Oh, wow.
But before we kind of get into that whole downward spiral thing, maybe we can start with this whole concept of upward comparison.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of intimidating when you just hear it like that.
It definitely can be.
Yeah.
It's think about it this way.
Okay.
You're scrolling through Instagram, right? You see like this travel blogger with these amazing photos from, I don't know, Bali or something, or maybe a fitness influencer with like perfect abs, looking super effortless.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you start looking at your own life, your own choices, and you're like, maybe it's not as glamorous.
Right.
You know, that feeling. That's kind of upward comparison at play.
So it's like you're comparing yourself to people who you think are, I don't know, better off than you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that makes you feel worse about yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, so this isn't just me then.
No, not.
Everyone feels this way
Yeah,
sometimes.
absolutely.
Okay.
It's like a natural human reaction, especially in the age of social media.
Right.
But here's the thing that makes it tricky.
Okay.
According to this problem of social media study, get this, 67% upward appearance comparisons actually happen on social media.
Wow.
Versus like only 45% in face-to-face interactions.
That's a huge difference.
It is.
So, I mean, it's almost like social media is, I don't know, designed to make us compare ourselves.
Well, in a way, yeah. I mean, think about it. Social media thrives on presenting these idealized versions of ourselves, our lives.
Right.
It's all about curated images, filters.
The perfect angle, the perfect lighting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the study also found that for young women specifically,
Okay.
this constant exposure to, these seemingly perfect bodies and faces, it often leads to a dip in their mood, and then an increase in negative thoughts about their own bodies and appearance.
So it's not just like a fleeting feeling of, oh, I wish I had her hair.
Right.
It can actually impact how they feel about themselves long term.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like this constant pressure to measure up to this standard, this unattainable standard, really.
Yeah.
And then when you consider the scale of Instagram, I mean,
Oh my gosh.
it's huge, right? 400 million users every month,
Yeah.
billions of likes every day.
It's insane.
You can see how this becomes a, I don't know, kind of a serious problem.
It's no wonder that so many people, especially young women, struggle with, body image issues and self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And this is just one study.
Yeah. There's another one by Alabash and Ma in 2017.
Okay.
They found that not only does Instagram have the highest daily usage
Oh, wow.
compared to other platforms like Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter.
Really? More than all of those?
Yeah.
Wow.
But they found that women specifically use it more intensely than men.
So they're not just like casually scrolling.
No.
They're really engaged.
Yeah, deeply engaged with the platform.
Okay. Which means they're also being exposed to more of these potentially harmful
Right.
images
Right.
and messages.
Exactly.
That's kind of worrying.
It is.
What does all of this intense engagement actually look like?
Well, this study found that, women tend to use Instagram more for entertainment.
Okay.
Documenting their own lives
Right.
and following a large number of users.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, right, a young woman scrolling through her feed, she sees all these curated images of, beauty and success,
Mm-hmm.
and then she compares that to her own life.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for self-doubt, negative self-perception.
Makes you wonder about the long-term consequences of all this exposure.
Right, and that's where this whole downward spiral concept comes in.
Okay, yeah.
It's not just about, like, feeling bad in the moment,
Right.
It's about the potential for these unrealistic beauty standards to create like this distorted self-image that can really impact everything from their relationships to their overall well-being.
The source also mentions it can even lead to biased thoughts about others
Yeah.
just based on, how they look online.
It's like they start judging people in real life based on these online portrayals.
Right.
It's wild.
It makes you think, like, if someone's constantly comparing themselves to others, how can they ever feel comfortable in their own skin?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And remember, we're just scratching the surface here. You know, we're only just beginning to understand all the implications of these unrealistic beauty standards. I mean, the
Right.
political, social, cultural ramifications.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge.
It feels like we're just at the tip of the iceberg here.
We are.
Yeah. But before we dive any deeper,
Yeah.
maybe we should take a step back and think about, like, what this all means for our listeners. You know,
Yeah, good point.
what should they be thinking about after
Okay.
hearing all of this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot to think about, right? Like, all this research, it's pretty heavy stuff,
Yeah.
but it feels like, you know, it's not just about, like, individual responsibility. Like, shouldn't the platforms themselves be doing more to, I don't know, address all of this?
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Yeah.
It raises the question of accountability, you know, like
Right.
obviously we can make our own choices, right,
Right.
to protect ourselves or well-being.
Yeah.
But there's this bigger conversation we need to
Yeah.
have about the role these platforms play,
Right.
you know, in shaping how we see the world, how we behave.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're designed to keep us engaged, right?
Exactly.
And to do that, they often use these algorithms
Yeah.
that promote content that, I don't know, triggers those comparison instincts. Like, maybe not intentionally, but it's kind of how it works.
Yeah. And that's where things get really complicated.
Right.
You know, it's a business model that at its core thrives on our attention.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that, right?
Mhm.
With these ethical concerns about mental health and well-being?
Yeah.
It's a tough question.
It is. It is.
And I think society is really grappling with that right now.
Mhm. So, okay, let's bring it back down to, like, the individual level for a second.
Okay.
Knowing all of this, like, what can we actually do?
Yeah.
How can we use social media, especially Instagram, in a way that's, I don't know, healthier?
Well, I think it starts with awareness. You know, you've already taken a great first step just by, you know, diving into this research with us.
Right.
Understanding the psychology behind it all is so crucial.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think it's about becoming more conscious consumers of social media.
Conscious consumers. What is that, like, what does that actually mean?
Okay, so imagine your Instagram feed is like a garden.
Oh, okay, I like where this is going.
You wouldn't just let it become overgrown with weeds, right?
Yeah.
You'd carefully cultivate it.
Right.
Choose plants that bring you joy, that nourish you.
Yeah.
It's the same with your feed.
So instead of just, like, passively scrolling,
Yeah,
we should be more selective about what we're actually letting into our feeds.
exactly.
Okay, I can see that.
You know, ask yourself, who are you following?
Yeah.
What kind of content are you consuming?
Yeah.
Does it make you feel inspired, empowered, or does it leave you feeling, I don't know, inadequate, drained?
A good point.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, so it's about unfollowing those accounts that trigger those negative comparisons
Yeah.
and seeking out accounts that promote a more, I don't know, positive and realistic view of beauty.
Exactly. And there are so many amazing creators out there who are challenging the status quo,
Mhm.
promoting body positivity, diversity, authentic self-expression.
I love that.
Fill your feed with those voices,
Yeah.
and you'll start to shift your own perception of beauty.
It's like you can create your own little, I don't know, corner of positivity and empowerment within this huge digital world.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership,
Yeah.
curating a digital environment that really reflects your values.
Hmm.
And it's not just about the content itself, you know.
What else is there?
It's also about how you're engaging with it.
Okay.
Think about the last time you scrolled through Instagram.
Hmm?
Did you catch yourself like constantly comparing your life to others?
Yeah, probably.
Did you feel, I don't know, envious, inadequate?
Yes.
If so, maybe it's time to reevaluate your relationship with the platform.
So maybe take breaks, set some limits on screen time,
Yeah,
maybe even unfollow people,
absolutely.
even if they're like real life friends.
Yeah, if their posts are having a negative impact on you, it's okay to unfollow.
It's about recognizing that, like, social media is a tool.
It is.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Exactly.
And the key is to be mindful of how it's affecting you and make choices that support your well-being.
You got it.
And remember, what we see online is often just a highlight reel.
Oh, yeah.
It's not real life.
It's the best version of themselves.
right.
It's not a true reflection of reality.
It's like comparing your behind the scenes
Yeah.
to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly.
No wonder we end up feeling inadequate.
You're right. So we need to cultivate self-compassion.
More self-compassion, less comparison.
I like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's easier said than done.
It is. It is.
It takes practice.
So what are some things we can, like, actually do to shift our mindset?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, sometimes it feels like those comparisons just happen automatically.
Yeah, it's about rewiring those automatic responses, right?
Right.
One strategy, I think, is practicing gratitude.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what you lack, try to appreciate what you have.
So shift the focus from what we're missing to what we already have.
Exactly. Make a list of things you're grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
big or small, and look at it when you're feeling down.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Another helpful technique is to challenge those negative thoughts.
Hmm.
When that little voice pops up and says, "You're not good enough, you don't look like her,"
Yeah,
ask yourself, is that really true?
right.
What evidence do I have to support that thought?
Challenge those assumptions.
Exactly. Often you'll find those negative thoughts are based on distorted perceptions and unrealistic comparisons.
It's like we need to become more aware of our own thought patterns
Yeah.
and really question them.
Exactly. And finally, remember, you are not alone in this.
Everyone struggles with self, doubt, comparison.
Yeah, it's true.
Reach out to friends, family, a therapist if you're feeling overwhelmed.
It's like that saying, a problem shared is a problem halved.
Exactly. Talking about these issues can help normalize them.
Yeah.
Makes them feel less overwhelming.
Yeah. It really sounds like the key takeaway here is all about shifting our mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about, what we see on Instagram. It's how we're processing it all,
Exactly.
internalizing those images.
Absolutely.
And it's about recognizing that true beauty, it
Yeah.
comes in all shapes and sizes,
It really does.
It's about embracing what makes us unique.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's such an important message,
It is.
especially for, young women who are just constantly bombarded with these narrow beauty standards that are often impossible to achieve.
Exactly. And those perfect images we see,
Yeah.
they're often so heavily edited,
Oh, yeah.
filtered.
It's all smoke and mirrors. It's carefully staged to create this illusion.
Right. It's like we're all presenting this best version of ourselves,
Yeah.
even if it's not totally authentic.
Exactly.
And then we compare our real lives to these online personas.
Right.
And of course we feel disappointed.
Of course.
So how do we break free from that?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, how do we cultivate that sense of self-worth
Yeah.
that isn't based on likes and followers and all that?
Right. And I feel like that question goes beyond social media.
Oh, for sure.
It's about our values as a society, how we define success and happiness.
The big one.
It is, but I think we can at least start by challenging those narrow definitions of beauty
Hmm.
in our own lives,
Yeah.
choosing to celebrate diversity,
Yeah.
embracing imperfections,
Mhm.
defining beauty on our own terms.
It's about taking back our power.
Yes.
Individually, but also collectively.
Mhm.
We can unfollow those accounts that make us feel bad
Absolutely.
and follow ones that inspire us.
Yes.
We can start conversations that challenge the status quo,
I love that.
promote a more realistic and inclusive view of beauty.
Exactly. It's about making choices
Yeah.
that support our well-being,
Hmm.
that align with our values.
And remembering that true beauty, it's not about achieving some impossible ideal.
Right.
It's about embracing what makes us unique.
Well said.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into social media and beauty standards,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing is to remember you're not alone in this.
Mm.
Everyone struggles with these issues
Yeah.
to some degree, and it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have bad days, feel insecure, compare yourself.
Yeah.
What matters is how you respond to those feelings.
That's so important.
It is.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be human,
Exactly.
to embrace those imperfections, and know that our worth isn't tied to, likes or how perfect our Instagram looks.
Exactly.
This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you some things to think about,
Mm-hmm.
as you navigate the digital world.
It's a tricky world out there.
It is.
But remember to be kind to yourselves, curate your online experience intentionally, and celebrate the unique beauty that each and every one of you possess.
Beautifully said. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.